Here you go.
All right, let's get to our seats. Get some water, please. Tone. Stacy and June. So we'll yeah. It's right up front.
Mr. Omni, come in?
No.
No.
Check the date.
We're recording.
All right, if we could all take our seats. All rise, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Delacuilla.
Here.
Director of Law Pignatello. Director of Finance Herwick.
Here.
Councilman at Large Elliott.
Here.
Councilwoman at Large Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman at Large Stager.
Here.
Ward 1 Councilman Biassiata.
Here.
Ward 2 Councilman Roble.
Here.
Ward 3 Councilman Snitsky.
Here.
Ward 4 Councilman Greenwald.
Here.
Director of Public Service and Properties Levis.
Here.
Building Commissioner Vitardi.
Here.
Engineer Collins.
Okay, we'll now have the reading and disposal of the journal for the regular council meeting March 12th.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Stager.
having read the council minutes of council meeting March 12, 2018, I find no errors or omissions. Therefore, I move they be approved as printed.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
Minutes have been approved. Going to make a motion to amend consent agenda and create a consent agenda 1 that will have agenda items 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, and create a second consent agenda number 2 that will comprise consent agenda item number 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. If there's no division in question, I move, call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
Okay. Consent agenda has been amended. If there's no division in question, I move that we accept consent agenda number 1, which is items 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6.
Second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
Consent agenda number 1 has been approved. If there's no division in question, I move that we before we move on to consent agenda number 2, let the record note that Councilman Elliott will be recusing himself. If there's no division of the question, I move that we accept consent to number 2 for March
Second.
22nd, 2018.
Second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
Consent agenda number 2 has been accepted. A lot going on today. Any resolutions of commendation?
There are none.
Reports of committee, planning, zoning, and economic development.
Mr. President,
Councilman Snitsky.
our next meeting is April 16th. Minutes from previous meetings are on file with the clerk.
Public Works.
The next meeting of the Public Works Committee is on April 2nd. The meetings will be on file at that time.
Community Services.
Thank you, Council President. Our last meeting was on March 5th. Minutes of the meeting are on file with the council clerk, and our next meeting is scheduled for April 2nd.
Police and Safety.
Last meeting was Monday, the 19th. The minutes are pending. Our next meeting is going to be on the 23rd of April.
Parks and Recreation.
Yes, our last meeting was Monday, March 19th. The minutes are on file with the clerk. Our next meeting will be on Monday, April 16th.
Rules, Ordinances, and Ethics.
Yes, Mr. President. Our last meeting was on 3/12/18. The minutes are on file with the clerk, and the next meeting is on 4/2/18.
Finance, Civil Service, and Personnel. Last meeting was March 19th. Meeting minutes are pending. Next meeting is April 2nd. Appointments and confirmations.
There are none this evening.
Communications, petitions, and claims.
We have none.
Great. Council is now open to the audience on legislation only. First row left. First row right. Second row left. Remaining audience. Great. We'll move on to amended ordinance number 125-2017.
Council President,
Councilwoman Kelly.
I'd like to make a motion to amended ordinance 125-2017 to remove the verbiage "that has been determined to be the city's responsibility," in addition to the verbiage stating, "whereas the city of Seven Hills has determined that the flooding of her home is occurring due to the fact that the sanitary lateral need replacement, which is a city responsibility, now therefore."
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Vogel.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 125-27 has been amended. Is there a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Kelly.
I move that we, pardon me, I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read amended ordinance number 125-2017 for its third and final reading.
I second the motion.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Vogel.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 125-2017, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. A moral claim authorizing and directing the finance director to pay Louise Loyos of Seven Hills, Ohio, a sum not to exceed $1,481.01 toward reimbursement of monies expended due to flooded basements over the past 13 years.
Any comments from council?
I have a comment, Mr. President.
Councilman Greenwald.
I know that this has been a very controversial subject since its inception. I plan to vote for this tonight. I think that our Assistant Law Director, Pat DeChiro, did a very thorough job at justifying all of the expenses that he included in this measure. I think that, as a result of that, that we would be justified and right in passing it. We are going to fix something in this street that is, an admission there was something wrong. We really probably won't know if we were at all the cause of any of this flooding until that is done. But for the reasons set forth by Assistant Law Director DeChiro in his report, I'm voting for this, and I request that the council does as well.
Any further comment?
Mr. President,
Councilman Snitsky.
Based on Pat DeTiro's recommendation and based on the fact that this is in Randy's ward, I will also vote for this.
Well, any further comment? I'll add my own. I've been kind of consistent about reaching out to experts and trust and following legal opinion. The recommendation from the law department was to lower the original ordinance was $28,000 was the ask. The law department reviewed this very thoroughly. The preponderance of evidence was not against the city. So he recommended lowering the award to $1,481, and the exact language is, there's a jagged pipe on the city's land which may have remotely caused the backup on occasion. May have remotely caused. That's not strong evidence, but I am also going to follow the law department's guide on this and vote in the affirmative based on the guidance and assistant law director's opinion. Any further comments? Roll call. It's Councilman Kelly. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we pass ordinance number 125-2017.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
No.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
No.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 125-27 is passed. We're moving on to amended ordinance number 21-2018. Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. President,
Councilman Robel.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read amended ordinance number 21-2018 by title only for its third and final reading.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Amended ordinance number 21, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance to amend the appropriations of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio for the year ending December 31st, 2018.
Any comment from council regarding amended ordinance 21-2018?
Mr. President,
Councilman Kelly.
I have a couple of questions I would like to address to our Community Services Director, Tony Terry, just for some clarification, if I could at this time, please.
Mr. Terry, if you can approach the monitor to answer Councilwoman Kelly's questions, please.
Hi, Tony. Thank you for coming in today.
You're welcome.
I was looking over some of the numbers here in the budget. And when I was looking at line items for the home days, I see that you budgeted the same amount of $26,000, the same as you did last year. The issue I need clarification on, though, is that the projected revenue for 2018 is $44,000 compared to last year's amount of $23,700. If you could just give a little clarification as to that, please.
Certainly. That number was derived from a couple of different points. First of which being that last year's home days, we got a very late start on. It wasn't approved until later in the year. This year, we basically started in August, starting the preparation. So I anticipate seeing an increase in revenue based on the fact that I'm able to get out and get sponsorships from companies that I didn't have enough time to do so in the past.
Additionally, the Meals on Wheels program is a program that has a revenue of $22,500, but it's pass-through, correct?
That's correct.
And it's based on resident participation. Is there ever a time when we're faced at a deficit?
No, the only time something like that would occur would be if someone were to maybe owe us a couple of weeks and pass on, or, try to come up with a way to not pay their bill. But residents only order as they need them, and we only order them as a resident directs us to. So there is no overhead cost. It is, in fact, a pass-through.
Okay. Also, too, it appears that the only cost items listed within your budget is for a $3,000 salary increase, which was introduced by the former council, and the senior bus program, which is at an increase of $4,000 this year. For some folks who may have missed our prior budget discussions, can you please explain the additional monies needed for the senior bus program?
Yes, I certainly can. So with UH Hospital undergoing some cuts, one of the things that they cut was the busing system, where they would allow people that use the hospital to get transportation through their transportation department to UH. They have since ceased that, and our agreement with the city of Parma, based on our grant that we've been involved with them for the partnership for the past couple of years, we anticipate seeing an increase in travel based on that. The other portion is, now with the newsletter being sent to the home, we're getting people who have never heard about these programs to read the newsletter, and that's increased activity on a few of my different services that we offer out of my department.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for Mr. Terry? I'm good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any further comment from council? Any comment from the administration? We had a number of changes since the last submission. No comment? Any comment from council? All right. I'd like to comment on the budget. One of the items that has changed is the revenue projection. There's been no talk about the revenue. The original budget proposal did not have an entry for the potential sale of land on Rockside. After you make this major revenue assumption into the budget, I believe the revised projected revenue for 2018 is 10.7. General fund expense is 10.3. All right, that's a major assumption. There's also major decisions left on expenses. And there's at least a handful of adjustments that need to be made. That said, directionally, in terms of expenses and revenue, we have a budget that can be submitted to the county. This isn't a budget and / appropriation that I intend to actively manage. And I fully intend to amend it with another round at the end of June. Some of the major assumptions at hand, adjustments and expense decisions will be a lot clearer at that time. If all the assumptions on revenue do not come to fruition, expenses will have to be adjusted. But at this point in time, it's directionally sufficient. So without further comment, do we have a motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Roble.
I move that we pass ordinance number 21-2018.
We have a second.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
The amended ordinance 21-2018 is passed. Moving on to ordinance 22-2018. And I'll be recusing myself from this item.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Kelly.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 22-2018 by title only for its third and final reading.
I second.
Roll call.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance number 22, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract with Jackson Deacon and Associates of Westlake, Ohio, and appropriating a sum not to exceed $91,416 for the furnishing of a comprehensive municipal liability insurance coverage package effective April 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2019.
We have a further motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass ordinance number 22-2018.
I second.
Roll call.
Elliott,
Yes.
Greenwald,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Snitsky,
Yes.
Stager,
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 22-2018 is passed. We'll now have the second reading of ordinance 23-2018.
Ordinance 23, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Gary Perlman of Mayfield Heights, Ohio, doing business as Dr. Awesome Incorporated, for the purpose of providing entertainment for the city of Seven Hills 2018 home days.
We'll now have the second reading of ordinance 24-2018.
Ordinance number 24, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a maintenance agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Meritech Incorporated of Cleveland, Ohio, for the Kyocera KM3050 digital imaging system for use in the city's Seven Hills Recreation Complex, with appurtenances, and appropriating the sum not to exceed $1,400 for said service for the period covering January 1st, 2018 through December 31st, 2018.
We'll now have the first, moving on to ordinance 26-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Kelly.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 26-2018 by adding an emergency.
It's already on there.
I'm sorry, for emergency, rather.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance number 26, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a revision to publishing service agreement with Liturgical Publications Incorporated of Cleveland, Ohio, for quarterly newsletter publishing services for the city's Seven Hills newsletters, for the purpose of increasing the size of the newsletter by 4 pages, and for the distribution of said newsletter effective April 1st, 2018, in an amount not to exceed $3,000 of each publication year, and declaring an emergency.
We have a further motion.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Kelly.
I move that we pass ordinance number 26-2018.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 26-2018 is passed. Move on to ordinance 27-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman Snitsky.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance -27-2018 by title only for its first and final reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 27, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Roble, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance to appropriate the sum not to exceed $15,000 for the purchase of asphalt by requirement contract for the Department of Public Service and Properties, determining and accepting the consortium bid of Cocosing Materials Incorporated of Fredericktown, Ohio, to be the best consortium bid therefore, authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement for the purchase of said asphalt, declaring an emergency.
Before we have a further motion, I'd just like to add for the record the reason for the emergency. Our hot patch asphalt is needed to patch potholes. This hot patch is being purchased through our consortium with other cities, and the bids for the hot patch were just opened this past Friday. So our ability to have this on the agenda any earlier was impeded by the bidding process of the consortium, which we are a member of, and council wanted to act as quickly as possible so the service has all that it needs to address the needs of the road. Do I have a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman Snitsky.
I move that we pass ordinance number 27-2018.
Second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
Ordinance 27-2018 is passed. We'll now have the first reading of ordinance 28-2018.
Ordinance number 28, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Roble, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills with the city of Broadview Heights for the provision of dispatching and jail services to the city of Seven Hills and appropriating an amount not to exceed $13,000 per month for dispatch service and $85 per person or day or fraction thereof for jail services.
Okay. Or in the first reading, ordinance 29-2018.
Ordinance 29, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Roble, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the city of Seven Hills with the city of Cleveland to participate in and operate radio equipment on the city of Cleveland's 800 MHz digital radio system in the city of Seven Hills.
Moving on to resolution number 7-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman Greenwald.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read resolution number 7-2018 by title only for its first and final reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Greenwald,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Snitsky,
Yes.
Stager,
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
Resolution number 7, 2018, introduced by Mayor Richard Delaquila. A resolution enacting a one-year moratorium prohibiting any short-term residential real estate rentals in the city of Seven Hills and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we adopt resolution number 7-2018.
Second.
Any comment from council? Roll call.
Biassiata,
Yes.
Elliott,
Yes.
Greenwald,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Snitsky,
Yes.
Stager,
Yes.
Roble.
Yes.
Resolution 7-2018 has been adopted. Council is now open to the audience for miscellaneous. First row left. First row right.
Tom Jarris, Crescent Ridge Drive. I was told during a break by the engineer that if I want to get information on the NEORSD grant, that it needs to be cleared by law. I don't know if that's standard procedure here now, but I would like to have the grant application and any documents pertinent to the NEORSD grant. Can I get that?
Quick look, but I don't see any problem with that.
Okay, thank you very much. The other thing, we had the big flurry with Mr. Travis getting arrested again and some discussion here and there about protection of documents, personal information of the residents, people who do business with the city of Seven Hills. It was alluded to that there was some kind of written policy. I don't know if anybody's seen that policy, but Mark Zuckerberg's getting his tail called in on the mat over exactly this same kind of thing with Congress. And if we don't have a policy written and specific for handling information, financial information, there's credit cards, I'm sure, being used at the rec center, checks that might have been written. You guys need to step up and get something going. And the mayor handed you some stuff Friday about policy for social media and all that stuff. And who cares? But protecting personal financial information, or protected information in general, social security numbers. Can anybody at the rec center pull up a screen and see these numbers? Do you know? We need something that says if somebody who handles these numbers divulges those numbers, there's a criminal charge coming their way. Because we don't know how long this has been going on, just that it went on. And somebody's got to protect the residents. The law department's worried about protecting the city. Who the hell's protecting the residents? I think you guys need to come up with an ordinance. And like I said, specify criminal consequences for divulging information. It just shouldn't happen. It's too important. And maybe everybody that handles this stuff will take a second thought before they gossip away somebody's credit card info or social security number or whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Second row.
Tim Fromdorf, 6817 Parkgate Oval. Council President, I just wanted to confirm what you said earlier. Our projected revenues for 2018 are $10,700,000.
Is that the revised number, Finance Director?
It is.
I believe yes. She answered to the affirmative, yes.
$10,700,000. So from the time the budget was first proposed till now, it increased $1.2 million, the revenue.
As my understanding, the increase 1.1, it was directly related to the sale of the city property.
Oh, it includes the sale of the city property?
Yes.
Has that been consummated? Have we received?
We have a contract, and the contract date, close date's May 31st.
Have we received any revenue?
No, but we're including revenue from sources that are coming in throughout the year. It's not unusual, I don't think.
Well, to me, it seems a little unusual, but you know, what am I to? Who am I? Thank you. The other issue, and it's to your point, Council President. A couple weeks ago, I was told that the Finance Department was awaiting some sort of a judgment from the State Auditor's Office regarding the 521 funds. And they were waiting for a response. And it was interesting. You may find this of some interest, but I called the State Auditor's Office shortly afterwards. And what I learned is that, number one, this did come up in discussion when the auditors went through the 2016 financial records. And at that time, the city was provided with a summary of Ohio Revised Code 5705.13. The state auditors, here's what they said. They had not, this was probably 2 weeks ago, they had not heard from the city in some time regarding this issue. And they said that the state auditor's legal department never gives legal advice. They only offer an opinion. And the auditor told me that questions regarding ORC 5705.13, if there are any questions about whether our ordinance fits within that ORC 5705, that the finance director is to go to the Seven Hills Law Director. The law director oversees compliance of ORC code. And if the law director has any questions or is unclear, he is to contact the state auditor's legal department, in which case they will offer an opinion. So I keep hearing that this is causing all kinds of consternation with our budgeting process, but I have a copy of ORC 5705.13, and what it says is a taxing authority of a subdivision by resolution or ordinance may establish reserve balance accounts to accumulate currently available resources for the following purposes. And the three funds were to stabilize subdivision budgets against cyclical changes in revenue and expenditures. If you look at the memo that was attached to the budget, it says budgets, this came from the finance department, budget stabilization, which may be created in the general fund, and it stops there. But actually, what the ORC 5705.13 says is that a reserve balance account established for the purpose described in Division A1, which is to stabilize the budget, of the section may be established in the general fund, or, there's an or in there, one or more special funds for operating purposes of the subdivision. So I'm a little confused about, I'm hearing that we can't do it, but if I look at the ORC code, it seems to be pretty clear that it can be done. And I guess my question is to Law Director Pignatello, have you been involved at all in this discussion?
Yes, I did communicate with the finance director, who gave me copies of some ORC and the preliminary discussions they had with the auditor.
Well, you know, I was also told, well, have you had any discussion with the state auditor's legal department? Okay, well, thank you. I was also told a couple weeks ago that back in December 2005, we used to have an income tax fund in which upwards of 50% of our income tax revenue went into an income tax fund, as well as our general fund. And that income tax fund was to be able to be used for expenditures, period. Just wanted to have money there to spend for unusual events and that sort of thing. The council eliminated that, and what happened is that income tax fund got rolled into the general fund, and once that happens, funding can be used for anything, absolutely anything. What these three ordinances did, and I would agree with your council president, is that it's earmarked specifically for certain events, improvements, infrastructure improvements. There's a rainy day fund which can be used for anything, as well as capital improvement, infrastructure, rainy day, and capital improvement. And for example, you're faced with over $100,000, potential $100,000 cost to repair the hangars at the rec center. Well, oddly enough, this can be used, the monies can be used for that kind of repair. You could probably take it out of the rainy day fund, or you could probably take it out of the infrastructure fund. You know, also, the interesting thing about this ORC code is that it says seems to be a question about 5%. And I heard the council president say, well, then drop it to 4.8. if I read this correctly, and again, I'm not a lawyer, and I'll leave that to your law director, but it says that the amount of money to be reserved in such an account in any fiscal year shall not exceed 5%. Well, there are 3 accounts. So conceivably, it could be 5%, 5%, 5%. And all that these funds are is 5%, 2%, 1%. And if it turns out that indeed these 3 funds can exceed 5%, it would certainly appear that council could change those ordinances to comply with ORC code. So I just wanted to throw that wrinkle at you, and I hope that you do have some very substantive discussion about these funds, because these funds are there to protect the city. And quite frankly, it was asked at the time if setting up these funds were legal. And I heard one of the council people say, is this illegal? No, it's not a matter of legality, it's a matter of protocol, whether it fits within the ORC code, and that comes down to your law director. And at that time, the law director didn't find any issue with us, the previous council, passing these 3 special funds. Thank you.
Third row? Fourth row? Fifth row? Please approach. All right. Hi.
Nancy Lowenthal, 3051 Vincent Drive. First of all, I want to thank the service department for taking care of East Sprague with all those potholes. You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
So is that part ever going to get repaired, or like the other side?
With the hot mix asphalt you're talking about, if I may?
Like they did the other side of West Sprague. Will the East Sprague ever get fixed up, re-cemented, new cement?
We're
Do you know?
desperate. Well, I think engineer can answer that best, but
It's ironic that you bring that up. I just got an email today from the county, from Nicole English, and she wants to open discussions with me on that. And I believe the mayor and Broadway Heights mayor already had some conversation about getting that project moving on in the next couple of years or less. So stay tuned. It's going to happen.
Yeah, but
in the meantime, we'll patch, and probably with
Yeah,
hot
'cause
mix
that's-
asphalt too, which is better.
I mean, basically between like where Independence and then McCrary, it's really bad in through there.
Yes.
Thank you. And concerning the rec center, I assume the new cleaning crew started. I have some pictures here. I don't know if anybody wants to see them, of the dust and the dirt, and I have one here with a cord, which this is basically illegal to have a cord, which somebody could trip over it. And in the cord, you can see all the dust. Here's a closer picture. Why they have an extension cord onto a fan, I don't know. And also dirt, dried mud. And everywhere by the equipment, it's full of dust. And I don't know if you're looking at replacing the equipment. Now, I know you can't do it all at one time, but some of it's pretty bad. Some of the workout benches. So I don't know if you want these pictures to look at. I'd be happy to give them to you, but also by the, as you come in the front door, there's shovels sitting there. That's a fire hazard. There's rock salt, bags of rock salt sitting there. I mean, any elderly person can trip over that. If there was an emergency, I'm sure, somebody would run into that, so. I hope the rec center starts getting cleaned up. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Last row. Reports and communications from the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just suggest to the resident that if there are complaints about the condition of the rec center, that those should be directed to the rec center manager. I did tour the facility last week with another resident, and the specific purpose of that tour was to determine the cleanliness of the facility. And although he had made a prior complaint, he was satisfied with what he found. So again, I would encourage you, with whatever additional complaints you have, to submit those to the rec center directly. It's well known that the city derives the majority by far of its annual revenues from income taxes, and only a small proportion comes from property taxes, probably on the order of $1 million plus or minus. Most of our revenue is derived from income taxes. And I know this has been brought up several times, and I understand the politics. The reason that the income tax fund had to be eliminated back many years ago now was that to lock away that amount of money and that substantial proportion of our revenue prevented that money from being used for regular city operations. And so it was determined that the best course at that time was to combine it all into the general fund so that the money could be used most effectively. This evening we had more exposition on the issue of the three revenue ordinances than had ever been conducted in any council meeting that I ever attended. I recall that the legislation was brought in practically whole cloth. There was a short discussion. It was placed on a following agenda by emergency. I would have hoped that something this complicated could have received a more substantial vetting at that time. However, that didn't happen, and we now find ourselves where we are in those subjects. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Director of Finance.
So I've been in contact with the Auditor of State. I was on the phone with them today. We were discussing those three pieces of legislation. In order to give me a written opinion, they required signed legislation, which I received from Carol this evening and have already forwarded to them. So based on our phone conversation, the gentleman that I spoke to, Mr. Thomas, foresaw some issues with it, and he is basically going to formalize his opinion and send it back to me. And he recommends, as it stands right now, until I get the formal opinion, obviously, what I got out of the conversation with him is he recommended setting it up more as a budget stabilization to be in compliance with ORC, because we're not meeting the parameters of 570513C, which is very specific for capital improvements, which the infrastructure reserve and the capital improvement fund kind of tie to. So the only thing we really qualify for is the budget stabilization. So, and the mayor had some more info on that. I don't know if he wishes to continue. Sorry, I'm losing my voice.
Director of Law.
I'll follow up with Sonia and find out who this Mr. Thomas is and what kind of opinion he's given. And I'll try and get to the bottom of this.
Sure. Well,
I'd like to ask
Director of Public Service and Properties, you can ask your question during miscellaneous.
Yeah, I want to just thank council for passing ordinance 27, 2018 for the purchase of up to $15,000, which translates to about 250 tons of hot mix asphalt, depending on which type you use. But actually, hot mix is cheaper per ton than cold patch, and it lasts longer for deeper potholes, larger, deeper potholes. We still use throughout the year cold patch, but some roads like Sprague, we'd like to start and what's its road there? Lombardo on the north end of town. We'd like to start using hot mix in those areas. They really need it bad. Thank you.
Thank you, Service Director. Engineer?
My report is on file with the clerk. Thank you.
Building Commissioner?
No report at this time.
All right, miscellaneous. We'll start with Councilman Elliott.
This question is for Law Director Pignatello. These three ordinances that the mayor believes are a problem, did you not pass them the previous term, the previous council?
Yes.
Okay, so did we do our due diligence at that time and contact the state?
We don't normally contact the state ahead of time.
Did you?
I don't think we had a finance director at the time. They went through, so that could explain
Okay.
not hearing from the auditor.
Okay.
Any further miscellaneous tonight, Councilman Elliott?
No, sir.
Councilwoman Kelly?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilwoman Steiger?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilman Greenwald?
I'd just like to thank everyone in the administration, especially Sonia, for all the hard work they put in, getting the budget together. Thanks a lot. I know it was a ton of work. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Snitsky?
Yeah, same thing for Sonia. Same thing for Sonia and the administration for doing all the hard work on the budget. You'd mentioned we didn't have a finance director, which may answer a lot of questions. How long did we not have a finance director for? 18 months? Just a year? I don't remember exactly, but it was a while, I remember.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilman Roble?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. In reference to the budget, I want to second something that Council President Biassiata said about watching the budget. Well, although it's not council's job to micromanage anything, I really would encourage that individual directors be cognizant of their budget and know where they are in regards to that budget at any time, and do not spend more than the budget. When I first started digging into this, the whole budgeting appropriations thing, I wanted to make sure that we ended up, whether it's now or at the end of the year, spending not more than revenue, but preferably less, so that we can build up more money in the general fund, because things are probably going to come down the road where we're going to need that money. So I would ask that directors be held accountable for managing the budget. I was when I was a manager of a department, and knowing where you are is not that hard. So I urge the administration to adopt that policy. Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome, Councilman Roble. I agree with your sentiment, but it's our job to hold them accountable. I don't want to manage their day-to-day, but we control the purse strings, okay? And not every year it's possible, but every year we should strive to, as best as possible, revenue to meet expenses. In any city, that doesn't happen every year. A balanced budget is actually carryover plus new revenue, less expenses. But you can't go to the well one too many times. This year, we have a number of major one-time expenses, and that's why it's good to proactively manage and set aside money. We have a portion of Hemlocks coming out of the general fund. We have $330,000 for the dispatch center coming out of the general fund. These are, major items. Even the hangars were mentioned. Easily $100,000. Exhaust, one-time expense that should last a long time in the fire department. Up to $65,000. I could go on, I won't. But these are the pressures that come up, and you look at your one-time expenses, and the best you can offset them maybe by one-time revenues. And the real nuts and bolts is your year-over-year expenses, your ongoing, what are your departmental costs, et cetera, et cetera. And it's all of our responsibility to derive the most value to the residents in the most responsible way. And we don't want to make brash statements, this, that, equals that. Because at the end of the day, services to the residents are paramount, and emergency expenses do come up. But the word I use before we vote on it, it's actively manage. That's what we all are charged with, actively managing the budget. And if revenue adjusts, expenses will have to adjust. And then it's what we can live with, what we cannot, what impacts the residents, what does not. And that's the kind of due diligence that every major expense needs to have, and I'm confident this council will bring. Get back to my miscellaneous comments shortly, but we have a couple motions tonight that I mentioned in caucus. I motion to authorize the clerk of council to advertise bids for the 2018 Fire Department Vehicle Exhaust Removal System in accordance with the bid specification and contract documents provided by the Seven Hills Fire Department. Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Motion's passed. I have a further motion to authorize the clerk of council to advertise for bids for the 2018 Natorium Structural Repairs Project in accordance with bid specifications and contract documents on file in the office of the Director of Public Service and Properties. Do I have a second?
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Motion to place the bids for 2018 Natorium Structural Repairs Project has been passed. Following up on some miscellaneous comments from the audience in the proper way. I'll ask the law director so this policy for protecting financial information has been alluded, we have a policy. If we do, can we review it and bring it to committee on Monday? You can have one.
Where are we getting this policy from?
No, it's been alluded, we have a current policy. I'm not familiar with it and I want to get familiar with it. Pardon, Mayor? Our policy replicates state law at this time. All right.
That's why information came out through.
Okay, well, maybe that's a potential opportunity for council. When in absence of an ordinance, local ordinance, state law is precedent, but there's times that we can refine the state ordinance to match our needs. We are a home rule city, so we'll look into that further. Also acting, you see on tonight, there wasn't much discussion, but council voted unanimously for a moratorium on short-term rentals. Ever since we had a situation with that, I've been looking into this. A lot of cities are handling it differently. Restrict the number of cars that can be parked in a house, restrict it to homeowners. A number of these have been met with legal challenges. So we thought the prudent way to move forward is call moratorium, monitor it, and then another thing I'm looking into is one of the biggest things to addressing the situation is actually knowing they're happening. And I've spoken to other cities like I do on important issues, how they handle things. In a number of cities, they do online registration, short-term rentals. So it cuts down, it's easier for the resident to register that they have one going on, and it's cost efficient for the city because it doesn't involve a person answering the phone or someone coming in and filling out paperwork. So if there's an ease of use and it's not cost restrictive, that's a possibility down the road as well. I only mention these things because when we do get resident feedback, we act upon it. I think that's all I have for my miscellaneous comments tonight. So I motion to adjourn council meeting at 8:35 p.m. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Council meeting is adjourned 8:35. Have a good evening.
Hey, how you guys doing? How's it going? Yeah, if you find it, if you think it's interesting, just Okay. well, can I have to sign legislation? Oh, sure. Okay, sure. Well, okay, we're trying to kind of slow things down while we digest. You just said the litigation. Okay, give me a few minutes to sign stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you're lucky, yeah. Do they debate, by the way? Do they allow debate like we do? I'm glad. Public comment is one side. I can't believe that we allow people to debate this way.